Captain Jake Morrison stood at the wide window of his spaceship. Outside, the stars looked cold and distant. His ship, the ESS Defiance, was one of the largest human warships ever built. But right now, it felt very small. Jake watched the enemy. Ships on his screen. The Zephyrian fleet was huge. Their ships were 3 times bigger than his best vessels. They had better weapons, stronger shields, and faster engines. For 6 months, they had been destroying human colonies one by one. "Captain, we have a message from Earth Command," said Lieutenant Amy Chun. She was young, maybe 25, with dark hair tied back in a neat bun. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the worry underneath. "Put it through," Jake said. Admiral Lisa Carter's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired. Her gray hair was messy, and her eyes were red from lack of sleep. Behind her, Jake could see other officers running around, all looking stressed. "Jake, the situation is bad," Admiral Carter said. "The Zephyrian ambassador just left our meeting. They gave us their final demand." Jake felt his stomach tighten. What do they want? Complete withdrawal from all human settlements beyond Jupiter. Every colony, every mining station, every research base. They want us gone in 72 hours. And if we refuse? Admiral Carter's face went pale. They will start bombing Earth's major cities: New York, London, Tokyo, Los Angeles. They showed U.S. what their weapons can do. Jake had seen the recordings. The attack on New Phoenix Colony had been complete. 1 minute, 2 million people were living their normal lives. The next minute, there was nothing left but melted rock and ash. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's science officer, spoke up from her station. "Captain, I've been studying their technology. Their shields can stop our best plasma cannons. Their ships move faster than anything we have. In a straight fight, we would lose." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was good. They were brave, skilled, and loyal, but Elena was right. The Zephyrians had technology that was far beyond human abilities. They had been traveling between stars for thousands of years, while humans had only left Earth a few centuries ago. "How many colonies are we talking about?" Jake asked. 47 major settlements, Elena replied, including the mining operations on Titan and Europa, plus all the research stations in the outer system. "We're talking about abandoning 12 million people." Jake felt angry. These weren't just numbers on a report. These were families, children, people who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. Many of them had been born on those distant worlds. It was their home. "What about the other alien species?" Jake asked. "The Altarians, the Vegan Confederacy, will they help us?" Admiral Carter shook her head. "They're all afraid of the Zephyrians. The collective has conquered dozens of star systems." "They have the largest fleet in known space. No one wants to fight them." The Zephyrian collective was not just one species. They were a group of different alien races that had joined together under Zephyrian leadership. They believed that the galaxy belonged to them. Any species that got too big or too strong was either destroyed or forced to join them. "What about evacuation?" asked Commander Ryan Phillips, Jake's second in command. "Can we move 12 million people in 72 hours? "Impossible," Elena said. "We don't have enough ships. Even if we used every transport vessel in the human fleet, we could maybe move 2 million people. The rest would be trapped." Jake stared at the tactical display. Red dots showed Zephyrian ships positioned around human space. There were hundreds of them, all bigger and more powerful than anything humanity had built. "Sir," said Lieutenant Chun, "we're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian flagship." "Put it on screen?" The image changed to show a Zephyrian commander. The alien was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. When it spoke, its voice was translated by the computer into English. "I am Overlord Vextara of the Zephyrian Collective. Humans have expanded too far into our territory. You will retreat to your home system immediately." "This is not a request. This is a command." Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earth Space Service. These colonies are our homes. We have families, children living on those worlds. We won't abandon them." The alien's expression did not change. Your emotional attachments are not our concern. You have 72 hours. Comply or face the consequences. The transmission ended. Jake felt the weight of command pressing down on him. Millions of lives depended on the decisions made in the next few hours. He had trained for combat, for tactical situations, for leadership under pressure. But this was different. This was about the survival of the human species in space. "Captain," Elena said quietly, "I've been thinking about their technology. It's advanced, but it's not impossible. They use energy shields and plasma weapons. Their ships are fast, but they still follow the basic laws of physics. What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that maybe we haven't seen everything humanity can do. There are projects back on Earth, classified programs that even I don't know about. Maybe our leaders have been preparing for something like this." Jake looked at her with interest. Elena was one of the smartest people he knew. If she thought there might be hidden human capabilities, it was worth considering. "Admiral Carter," Jake said, turning back to the communication screen, "what about the deep space research stations, the ones that don't officially exist?" "Admiral." Carter's expression changed slightly. "Jake, there are some things I can't discuss over an open channel. But I will say this, humanity has not been idle during our expansion into space. We have been ... preparing." The communication ended, leaving Jake with more questions than answers. Outside the window, the stars continued their ancient dance somewhere. Out there, 12 million human lives hung in the balance. And somewhere else, alien warships waited to deliver death to Earth itself. Jake Morrison had been a soldier for 20 years. He had fought pirates, smugglers, and hostile alien raiders. But he had never faced anything like this. The Zephyrian Collective was not just an enemy. They were a force of nature, a storm that could wipe humanity from the stars. But as he looked at his crew, at the determination in their faces, Jake felt something else. Humans had survived ice ages, wars, plagues, and disasters. They had spread across the galaxy despite having inferior technology. They had done it through stubbornness, creativity, and the refusal to give up. Maybe the Zephyrians were about to learn something about human nature that they had not expected. The countdown had begun. 72 hours until humanity's response would determine the fate of the species. The 72 hours passed like a nightmare. Earth's answer came from President Helen Barnes herself, broadcast across every human communication channel in the galaxy. Her voice was calm but firm. "Citizens of Earth and all human colonies, the Zephyrian Collective has demanded that we abandon our homes beyond Jupiter. They threaten to destroy our cities if we refuse. Today, I speak for all humanity when I say we will not retreat. We will not abandon our people. We will not bow to alien threats." Captain Jake Morrison heard the broadcast from his ship's bridge. Around him, his crew listened in silence. They all knew what this meant. War was coming, and humanity was badly outgunned. Lieutenant Amy Chun spoke first. "Captain, the Zephyrian fleet is moving. They're heading toward Earth." Jake watched the tactical display. Hundreds of alien ships were changing course, their destination clear. The largest fleet in known space was about to attack humanity's homeworld. "Time to Earth?" Jake asked. 18 hours at their current speed," Chun replied. 18 hours. Jake felt sick. There was no way the human fleet could stop them. Earth's orbital defenses were strong, but not strong enough to face the entire Zephyrian Collective. The first attack came sooner than expected. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Phillips was stationed at Luna Base, the military facility on Earth's moon. He was in the observation deck when the sky above Earth suddenly lit up with fire. "My God," Ryan whispered. The Zephyrian ships had appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. Their weapons were already firing. Beams of pure energy struck the planet's surface, creating explosions that could be seen from space. Ryan activated the emergency communication system. "This is Luna Base to all stations. Earth is under attack." "Repeat, Earth is under attack." The first target was Sydney, Australia. The city of 5 million people vanished in a ball of white light. The explosion was so bright that it hurt to look at, even from the moon. Then London. Then Tokyo. then New York. Within 2 hours, 15 major cities had been destroyed. The death toll was climbing toward 50 million people. The Zephyrian fleet moved slowly around the planet, taking their time, making sure everyone could see. What they were doing, Ryan watched in horror as his home planet burned. The aliens were not just attacking military targets. They were hitting civilian areas, hospitals, schools, places where normal people lived and worked. Then came the broadcast. Overlord Vextara's image appeared on every screen across human space. The alien's black eyes showed no emotion as he spoke. Humans of Earth, you have seen what defiance brings. Your cities burn because you refuse to obey. Surrender now, and the killing will stop. Continue to resist, and we will reduce your planet to ash. The message repeated over and over. But instead of surrender, something else began to happen. Dr. Marcus Webb sat in his laboratory deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. He had been working here for 20 years, part of a program so secret that even most government officials did not know it existed. Now, as he watched the destruction of Earth cities, he knew it was time. Webb activated a communication system that had never been used before. It bypassed all normal channels, reaching every human military installation, research facility, and colony ship in the galaxy. Fellow humans, Webb said, his voice unnaturally calm, my name is Dr. Marcus Webb. For 50 years we have been preparing for this day. The Zephyrians believe they have seen the full extent of human military power. They are wrong. Colonel Amy Foster was commanding Titan Base when Webb's message came through. She had never heard of Dr. Webb, but something about his tone made her pay attention. You all know about the public human fleet, Webb continued. The ships and weapons. You can see. What you do not know is that this represents only 10% of our actual military capability. The other 90% has been hidden, waiting for the day when humanity faced extinction. Amy felt her hands shake. She had heard rumors about black projects, secret programs that consumed enormous amounts of resources, but this sounded impossible. The Zephyrians have superior technology, Webb said. Their shields can stop our conventional weapons. Their ships are faster than ours. In a normal war they would win. But this will not be a normal war. On his screen, Webb showed images that made Amy's blood run cold. Massive construction facilities, hidden on the dark side of the moon. Weapon manufacturing plants buried deep in asteroids. Research stations in the outer solar system that had been disguised as mining operations. We call it the Terran Defense Initiative, Webb explained. For 5 decades, we have been building weapons that the Zephyrians cannot imagine. They think in terms of energy and matter. We have learned to weaponize reality itself. The images showed devices that looked like nothing Amy had ever seen. Spherical machines covered in strange symbols. Weapon systems that seemed to bend space around them. Ships that appeared to be made of crystallized light. The physics are complex, Webb continued, but the application is simple. We have created weapons that can alter the fundamental laws of nature within a targeted area. Energy shields become useless when the speed of light is reduced to walking pace. Fast ships become death traps when gravity is increased by a factor of 10,000. Stared at the screen. If this was true, if humanity really had such weapons, then the war was far from over. To all military personnel, Webb said, you will receive new orders within the hour. Hidden facilities across the solar system are coming online. The real human fleet is about to reveal itself. The transmission ended, leaving Amy in stunned silence. Above Earth, the Zephyrian fleet continued its bombardment. Overlord Vextara was pleased with the results. The human resistance was crumbling. Soon, they would beg for mercy, but in the depths of space, something was stirring. Objects that had been floating silent and dark for decades suddenly began to glow. Ships that had been disguised as asteroids opened up, revealing weapon systems that defied known physics. On Mars, what everyone thought was a mining complex suddenly transformed. The surface opened up like a flower, revealing massive gun batteries that pointed toward the stars. In the asteroid belt, Hundreds of objects that had been classified as research stations began to move. They were not stations at all. They were warships, larger and more advanced than anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. Captain Jake Morrison received his new orders while Earth still burned beneath him. The message came from Admiral Carter, but the words were Dr. Webb's. All ships of the public fleet will take position around Jupiter. You are to wait for the signal. When it comes, you will witness the true power of humanity. Jake looked at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for orders. You heard the man? Jake said. Set course for Jupiter, and prepare for the fight of our lives. As the ESS Defiance moved toward the outer solar system, Jake could not shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The Zephyrians had pushed humanity to the breaking point. Now they were about to learn what happened when humans had nothing left to lose. Behind them, Earth continued to burn. But across the solar system, weapons that had been hidden for 50 years were powering up. The real war was about to begin. Commander Steve Patterson had been running the mining operation on Europa for 3 years. He thought he knew everything about the facility. He was wrong. Steve was in his office when the new orders came through. The message was marked with security codes he had never seen before. When he opened it, his hands began to shake. Commander Patterson, this is Dr. Marcus Webb. Your facility is not a mining operation. It is a weapons manufacturing plant. Report to Level 7 immediately. Steve stared at the message. There was no Level 7? The facility only had 6 levels? He had been in every room, every corridor, every storage area. He was sure of it, but when he went to the main elevator, he found a new button had appeared. The number 7 glowed softly in the dim light. Steve pressed the button. The elevator went down much further than he expected. When the doors opened, he stepped into a world he had never imagined. The room was enormous, stretching out further than he could see. Massive machines hummed quietly in the distance. Workers in white coats moved between strange devices that seemed to bend light around them. The air itself felt different, charged with energy. Welcome to the real Europa station, said a voice behind him. Steve turned to see a woman in a military uniform. She was tall, with short blonde hair and serious gray eyes. Her rank insignia showed she was a general. I'm General Patricia Kane, she said. I run the Terran Defense Initiative. You've been working above one of our most important facilities for 3 years. What is this place? Steve asked. We call it a reality anchor production facility, General Kane explained. For 30 years, we've been building weapons that can change the laws of physics in a small area. The Zephyrians have shields that can stop energy weapons. They can't stop weapons that change reality itself. She led him to a viewing window. Below them, workers were assembling devices that looked like metal spheres covered in complex patterns. Each sphere was about the size of a basketball, but they seemed to weigh almost nothing. These are reality anchors, General Kane said. When activated, they create a field where we can decide how physics works. We can make gravity stronger or weaker. We can change the speed of light. We can alter the basic forces that hold matter together. Steve felt dizzy. That's impossible. 50 years ago, it was impossible, General Kane agreed. But humans have a talent for making impossible things possible. We've had some very smart people working on this problem for a very long time. She handed him a tablet showing technical specifications. Steve was an engineer, but the science was beyond anything he had studied. The math alone made his head hurt. How does it work? He asked. Think of reality as a set of rules, General Kane explained. The speed of light is this fast, gravity is this strong. Energy behaves this way. The reality anchors can rewrite those rules within a specific area. And the Zephyrians don't know about this? They're about to find out? Across the solar system, similar revelations were happening. On Mars, Captain Tony Martinez received orders to report to the mining supervisor. He found himself in a hidden hangar containing a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. The S-Reckoning was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its hull seemed to be made of crystallized space, shifting and changing as Tony watched. When He touched the surface. His hand passed through it like water. "It's made of controlled quantum foam," explained Dr. Helen Yu, the ship's designer. "The hull exists in multiple dimensions at once. Enemy weapons can't hit what isn't completely there." Tony climbed aboard and found a bridge that looked more like a laboratory than a command center. Instead of normal weapon controls, there were devices labeled with terms like causality disruptor and entropy reverser. The weapons don't destroy enemy ships, Dr. Yu explained. They make it impossible for the ships to exist in the first place. We can fire a missile that hits its target before we launch it. We can create explosions that happen backwards through time. "That makes no sense," Tony said. "It doesn't have to make sense," Dr. Yu replied. "It just has to work." Meanwhile, on the dark side of the moon, Lieutenant Sarah Kim was discovering that the research station where she had been working was actually a massive weapons facility. The station had been hidden from Earth's view for decades, slowly growing larger and more powerful. "We call them physics bombs," explained Dr. Robert Chun, the station's secret director. "They don't create explosions. They create areas where the normal laws of physics don't apply." He showed Sarah a device that looked like a simple metal cylinder. "This one creates a field where the strong nuclear force is reduced by 90%. Any matter that enters the field simply falls apart at the atomic level." Sarah stared at the weapon. "What happens to the atoms?" "They stop being atoms," Dr. Chun said simply. "They become energy, a lot of energy." The revelation was happening. Across human space, hidden facilities were revealing themselves. Secret weapons were being brought online. The human fleet that everyone knew about was just the tip of the iceberg. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the newly revealed command center, beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room was vast, filled with screens showing the hidden human fleet. There were thousands of ships, all equipped with weapons that the Zephyrians had never encountered. "How long have we been planning this?" she asked Dr. Webb. "Since the day we first met aliens," Webb replied. "The first contact protocols included a secret provision. If humanity ever faced extinction, we would reveal our true capabilities." "And the cost?" "Enormous," Webb admitted. "For 50 years, we've been spending 30% of our total resources on this project. Every human pays taxes to fund programs they don't know exist." Admiral Carter looked at the screens. Ships that could travel through folded space. Weapons that could make enemy vessels forget how to exist. Defenses that could turn attacking energy into harmless light. "The Zephyrians have been testing us," Webb continued. "They've been using their weakest weapons, their oldest ships. They wanted to see what humanity could do before committing their full force. And now they're about to see what happens when you push humans too far." The first test came sooner than expected. A Zephyrian patrol fleet was approaching the Mars orbital facilities. Their mission was to destroy the shipyards where human vessels were built. Captain Tony Martinez was ready for them. The S-Reckoning moved to intercept, its quantum foam hull barely visible against the starfield. "Activate reality anchors," Tony ordered. The space around the Zephyrian ships began to change. The laws of physics that had governed the universe for billions of years were suddenly rewritten. The speed of light dropped to about 20 miles per hour. Gravity increased by a factor of 10,000. The alien ships, designed to move at incredible speeds, suddenly found themselves crawling through space. Their energy weapons, which normally traveled at light speed, became as slow as thrown rocks, but the real shock came when the increased gravity took effect. The Zephyrian vessels, built to operate under normal gravitational conditions, began to crush themselves. Their hulls buckled. Their engines failed. Their shields collapsed under their own weight. Within minutes, the entire patrol fleet was disabled. The ships floated dead in space, their crews trapped inside vessels that had become their own prisons. Tony stared at the results. "It actually worked." "Of course it worked," Dr. Yu said. "We've been testing these weapons for decades. The Zephyrians are about to face technology they can't understand or counter." Across the solar system, the message was spreading. Humanity's hidden fleet was moving into position. The real war was about to begin, and this time, the Zephyrians were going to be the ones who were outgunned. Overlord Vexthara stared at the reports coming in from across human space. His patrol fleets were being destroyed, but not in any way that made sense. The humans were using weapons that seemed to break the basic laws of reality. "Explain this to me again," he said to his chief scientist, a tall alien with purple skin and 6 arms. "Sir, our ships are being crushed by their own weight. The humans appear to be changing the gravitational constant within targeted areas. Our energy weapons are moving at the speed of sound instead of light speed. It's impossible, but it's happening." Vexthara felt something he had not experienced in centuries of conquest: fear. The Zephyrian collective had conquered dozens of star systems because they understood how technology worked. They had faster ships, stronger shields, and more powerful weapons than anyone else, but the humans were using something that was not just technology. They were changing the rules of physics itself. "Send word to the home fleet," Vexthara ordered. "We need reinforcements. All of them." But it was already too late. Admiral Robert Hayes stood on the bridge of the ESS Retribution, watching the tactical display. The human fleet had finally revealed itself, and it was magnificent. Ships that had been hidden for decades were now moving into attack formation. "Sir, we're receiving the go signal from Earth Command," reported Lieutenant Commander Beth Wilson. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes," Robert spoke into the communication system. "Operation Homecoming is now active. Show them what humanity can really do." The first target was the Zephyrian forward base in the Alpha Centauri system. For months, the aliens had been using it to launch attacks on human colonies. Now it was time for payback. The ESS Retribution led the assault. The ship was enormous, twice the size of the largest Zephyrian vessel. But size was not its most impressive feature. The hull was covered in reality anchor projectors, each one capable of rewriting physics within a sphere of space. "Enemy base in range," reported the weapons officer, Lieutenant Colonel James Grant. "Target their shield generators," Admiral Hayes ordered. "Reality anchor mode 7. The weapons fired, but they were not energy beams or missiles. They were pulses of altered reality. Where they hit the enemy shields, the atomic structure of the shield generators began to change. The alien technology designed to deflect energy and matter had no defense against weapons that changed what energy and matter actually were. The shields flickered and died. The Zephyrian base was suddenly naked, defenseless against the human fleet. "All ships open fire," Admiral Hayes commanded. The human fleet unleashed weapons that the Zephyrians had never seen. Some ships fired missiles that traveled backwards through time, hitting their targets before they were launched. Others used energy beams that could pass through solid matter, striking the enemy from inside their own ships. Captain Nicole Brooks was piloting a small fighter craft equipped with the most advanced human technology. Her ship was tiny compared to the massive Zephyrian vessels, but it carried weapons that could destroy entire fleets. "Causality missiles armed and ready," she reported. Nicole's weapons were the most terrifying in the human arsenal. The missiles could hit targets in the past, present, and future all at the same time. When fired, they created a loop in time that made the target's destruction inevitable. She locked onto a Zephyrian cruiser and fired. The missile seemed to move slowly, but that was an illusion. It was actually traveling through folded time, taking a shortcut through the past to reach its target. The Zephyrian cruiser exploded before Nicole had finished pressing the firing button. The explosion happened in the past, present, and future simultaneously, creating a flash of light that could be seen across the star system. "Direct hit," Nicole reported. "The target no longer exists in any timeline." The Zephyrian defenders were completely overwhelmed. Their weapons could not lock onto ships that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Their shields were useless against weapons that attacked the basic forces holding their ships together. Commander Ray Thompson was leading a squadron of stealth ships toward the enemy command center. His vessels were nearly invisible, their hulls made of crystallized space that bent light around them. Enemy commander identified, Thompson reported. The alien leader is on the central command ship. Take him alive if possible, Admiral Hayes replied. We need to understand how their fleet operates. Thompson's ships moved closer to the command vessel. The Zephyrian ship was huge, heavily armed, and protected by the strongest shields in their fleet. Under normal circumstances, it would have been impossible to approach, but these were not normal circumstances. Activating phase shift mode, Thompson said. His ships began to phase in and out of normal space. To the Zephyrian sensors, they seemed to flicker like ghosts. The enemy weapons could not target something that was only half real. Thompson's ships passed through the enemy shields as if they were made of air. The Zephyrian shields were designed to stop matter and energy, not ships that existed in folded space. We're inside their defensive perimeter, Thompson reported. Beginning boarding operations. The human Marines who boarded the Zephyrian command ship were equipped with weapons that made the aliens' technology look primitive. They carried guns that could fire through solid walls, armor that existed in multiple dimensions, and devices that could disable enemy weapons by making them forget how to function. The Zephyrian crew tried to fight back, but their weapons simply passed through the human soldiers. The Marines were protected by personal reality anchors that made them immune to conventional attacks. Within an hour, the entire enemy base was under human control. The Zephyrian fleet in the Alpha Centauri system had been completely destroyed or captured. Similar attacks were happening across the galaxy. Human fleets were striking at every major Zephyrian installation. The aliens who had terrorized the galaxy for centuries were being systematically crushed by weapons they could not understand, but the real shock came when the humans began to demonstrate their most advanced technology. Ships that could travel faster than light by folding space itself. Weapons that could destroy entire star systems by altering the nuclear forces that held atoms together. Defenses that could turn attacking fleets into harmless energy. Dr. Marcus Webb watched the battle reports from his hidden command center. The plan that had been 50 years in the making was working perfectly. The Zephyrians had been completely unprepared for humanity's true capabilities. Sir, reported one of his assistants, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different Zephyrian fleets. Webb nodded. Accept their surrenders, but keep our weapons trained on them. This war isn't over until every alien commander understands what happens when you threaten humanity. The tide of the war had turned completely. The Zephyrian collective, which had seemed invincible just days before, was now facing total defeat. Their fleets were being destroyed or captured. Their bases were falling one by one. And the humans were just getting started. Captain Jake Morrison received new orders as his ship approached the outer edge of Zephyrian space. The enemy was trying to retreat to their home systems, hoping to regroup and plan a counterattack. All ships pursue the enemy, Admiral Carter's voice came through the communication system. Do not let them escape. It's time to end this war once and for all. Jake looked at his crew. They had started this conflict as the underdogs, facing an enemy with superior technology and overwhelming numbers. Now they were part of the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. You heard the Admiral, Jake said. Set course for the Zephyrian home system. Let's finish what they started. The human fleet moved deeper into enemy territory, bringing with them weapons that could reshape reality itself. The Zephyrians had pushed humanity too far, and now they were about to learn the price of that mistake. The war ended not with a great battle, but with complete silence. The Zephyrian home fleet, the largest military force in the galaxy, floated dead in space around their capital world. Every ship had been disabled by human weapons that the aliens could not understand or fight against. The crews were alive but trapped inside vessels that no longer obeyed the laws of physics. Admiral Robert Hayes stood on the bridge of the ESS Retribution, looking down at the planet below. The world was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. It looked almost like Earth, but today it was a world in defeat. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planetary surface, reported Lieutenant Commander Beth Wilson. Put it through, Admiral Hayes said. The image on the screen showed Overlord Vexthara, but he was no longer the proud alien commander who had threatened to destroy Earth. He looked broken, his black eyes filled with fear and confusion. I surrender, Vexthara said. His voice was barely a whisper. The collective surrenders. Please, no more destruction. Admiral Hayes felt no joy in the victory. Too many humans had died in the early attacks. Too many cities had been destroyed. But the war was over. Stand down your remaining forces, Admiral Hayes ordered. Prepare for occupation. The transmission ended, leaving silence on the bridge. Dr. Marcus Webb arrived at the Zephyrian capital 3 days later. He came not as a conqueror, but as a scientist. He wanted to understand how the most powerful empire in the galaxy had fallen. So quickly, he met with the surviving Zephyrian leaders in what had been their government building. The aliens sat around a large table, their heads hanging in shame. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, but in just a few weeks they had been completely defeated. How? Asked Vexthara. How did you hide such power from us? Webb sat down across from the alien leader. We didn't hide it from you, we hid it from ourselves. Most humans didn't know these weapons existed, but the technology... It's impossible. You changed the laws of physics. We learned to work with physics in ways you never imagined, Webb explained. Your species conquers through strength. You build bigger ships, stronger weapons, faster engines. But humans are different. We prepare for a failure. Webb activated a holographic display showing the timeline of human expansion into space. From the day we first left Earth, we knew we would eventually meet aliens stronger than us, so we planned for that day. The display showed the hidden construction projects, the secret research programs, the weapons facilities disguised as mining operations. For 50 years, humanity had been building defenses against enemies they had not yet met. Every human colony, every research station, every mining operation had a secondary purpose, Webb continued. We were always preparing for the day when our survival would depend on more than just courage. You spent 50 years preparing for this war? Asked another alien, a female with silver skin. We spent 50 years preparing for extinction, Webb corrected. The war was just the method you chose to try to destroy us. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the news of humanity's victory was spreading. The other alien species who had been too afraid to help humans were now eager to meet with them. The Altarians, the Vegan Confederacy, the Rigel Empire, all of them wanted to understand how the weakest species had become the strongest. Ambassador Sarah Wells found herself very busy. She had been chosen to represent humanity at the emergency session of the Galactic Council. The Council was the governing body for all major alien civilizations, and they were meeting to discuss the new balance of power. Sarah stood before the assembled aliens, representing not just Earth, but a humanity that had shocked the galaxy. The other species looked at her with a mixture of respect and fear. Members of the Council, Sarah began, humanity comes before you today not as conquerors, but as neighbors. We did not seek this war. We did not want to display our true capabilities. But we were forced to defend ourselves. The Altarian representative, a tall blue-skinned alien, spoke first. Your species has weapons that can alter reality itself. The implications are disturbing. Our weapons are defensive, Sarah replied. We built them to protect ourselves from extinction. Now that the threat is over, we have no intention of using them for conquest. But you could, said the vegan delegate. You could conquer the entire galaxy if you chose. Sarah nodded. Yes, we could. But we won't. Humans are not interested in ruling other species. We want to trade, explore, and learn. We want to be part of the galactic community, not its masters. The council members looked at each other uncertainly. They had never encountered a species that possessed ultimate power, but chose not to use it. What happens to the Zephyrian collective? Asked the Rigel ambassador. They will be relocated to a quarantine system, Sarah explained. Their weapons will be removed, their empire dissolved. But they will not be destroyed. Humanity believes in second chances. Back on Earth, the rebuilding had begun. The cities that had been destroyed were being reconstructed, but with new defenses. Humanity would never again be caught unprepared. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the ruins of what had been Sydney. Construction crews were working around the clock to rebuild the city, but now, hidden beneath the new buildings, were reality anchor generators that could protect the entire area from any attack. "It's hard to believe it's over," said Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had joined him to oversee the defensive installations. "Is it over?" Jake asked. "We've beaten the Zephyrians, but there might be other threats out there," Elena smiled. "Then we'll be ready for them too. That's what humans do. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." The final message went out to every corner of the galaxy. It was broadcast in every known language, sent to every civilized world, recorded in every historical archive. The message was simple but clear. To all species in the galaxy, this is humanity's final warning. We offered you peace, trade, and friendship. The Zephyrian collective chose war instead. You have seen the result. We are not a species to be threatened or intimidated. We are not conquerors, but we are survivors. We will defend ourselves with whatever force is necessary. This is your only warning. Choose wisely. The message ended with images of the disabled Zephyrian fleet, the destroyed military bases, the weapons that had rewritten the laws of physics. It was a demonstration of power that would be remembered for thousands of years, but perhaps the most important part of the message was what came next. Humanity offered trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and scientific cooperation to any species that wanted peace. The same technology that had been used to destroy the Zephyrian fleet was offered to help other civilizations solve their problems. Dr. Webb looked at the reports coming in from across the galaxy. Dozens of species were requesting meetings with human representatives. They wanted to learn about the technology that had defeated the collective. They wanted to understand how a species could be so powerful yet so peaceful. "We've changed the galaxy," Webb said to his assistant. "The question is, have we changed it for the better?" "I think so," she replied. "For the first time in centuries, the galaxy is not ruled by fear. The strongest species is also the most peaceful. That has to count for something." Webb nodded. Humanity had passed its greatest test. They had faced extinction and survived. They had been pushed to their limits and found strength they never knew they possessed. Most importantly, they had shown the galaxy that true power came not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to choose when not to use that ability. The universe had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not in their weapons or their technology, but in their character. They were a species that prepared for war but chose peace whenever possible, and in the depths of space were continued on Project Omega, because humans never stopped preparing for the threats they hoped would never come.